Lay me down by the banyan tree, where my roots run deep into that soul of me. Lay me down into her open palm. Listen deeply as she sings, Chesitara. Eternal truth, I'm in the rain and the sand. My heart is beating as the sky and the land. My walk is fire, but my touch is cold. Listen deeply as I flow through the many intertwined. The river runs. So the river runs through the many intertwined. I belong, I belong. Oh, the river runs, so the river runs through the many intertwined. I belong, I belong, I belong. I belong, 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 I belong.
You all belong here at our India retreat info session, which I am so excited to bring to you today because, wow, India retreat with the Community Collective, say no more. And really, this is all about understanding more about this experience, how we landed here at actually launching a retreat in India for community builders, and everything in between. So my name is Paz Pazarski. I'm one of the co-founders of the Community Collective. It's so great to see so many CCNs here, which is so nice. And really, I'll be the host for our info session today. And so today I'm tuning in from the land of the Wadawurrung people in Torquay, down the surf coast in Australia. And so I would always like to acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land in which I'm tuning in from. Where are all of you tuning in from? I know we've got a couple countries just spanning in here. So I'm in Torquay at the moment. And I know a couple of you Paki's in India right now, literally where we're going, which is cool. Ashish is in Melbourne. Oh my God, so cool. Leah is in Hawaii. Amazing. Friends in Melbourne. How fun. Well, really today, no matter where you are, we're gathering to talk about our India retreat. So I'm going to kick off and just kind of walk you through what to expect. And then we will have a check-in with Leah, one of our amazing ambassadors, who's actually been helping with the planning of the India retreat and the brainstorming. We've been jamming on ideas, which is so exciting. And then I'll kind of run you through how we landed here, what the intention is behind the India retreat, what to expect, and how this is going to come to life. Then we actually have the amazing Francisco from One Roof, who's also ACCN and has joined many of our cohorts, who came on the retreat with me earlier this year, and we both visited the retreat center. So as a community professional and just a powerhouse, Fran and I are just going to have a bit of a Q&A around the experience. And if any of you have questions about it as well, we can go through those. So we'll have plenty of time for audience Q&A. And then we've got a gift for all of you at the end. Start our sessions with a check-in to basically make sure we all check in as humans before. So we've got the amazing Leah here who's going to run our check-in. Leah, what's the question for today?
Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here. And as Paz mentioned, we actually had a chance to catch up yesterday with some of the other CC ambassadors. And it was really exciting having a chance to plan for this retreat. Our check-in question for today is going to be, what excites you the most about our 10-day India retreat with the CC? Now you have just shy of 5 minutes to write your answer. And again, what excites you the most about our 10-day India retreat with the Community Collective? Oh, I love seeing some of these answers come in. Beautiful. Okay, great. And if you haven't had a chance yet, just go ahead and type your answer in the poll. And when you're finished, there's a button at the bottom. You can just click I'm done. Oh, fantastic. Okay. And whenever everyone is kind of complete and ready, I'd love to, Paz, I'd love to hear from you and Fran on some of your guys' answers since you've been to the retreat before.
Oh my God, absolutely, Leah. I just like can't stop smiling. I'm just so excited. One of the thought of bringing people to this beautiful place that literally is like the birthplace of yoga, but also just spending in-person time in depth. I mean, Leah, you got up in San Francisco earlier this year, but it just like never feels like enough time. And so running so many cohorts online and seeing people online, it would just be so nice to have like in-depth time with everyone, just like uninterrupted, which is just like so inspiring.
Oh, I think that's so brilliant. Okay, beauty. Ooh, Fran, yeah, I'd love to hear from you as well.
I am so pumped to be here. It was such an incredible experience, and it was so rejuvenating and peaceful, and just provided that much needed reset that I'll go into more later. But yeah, that's what really being here, chatting about it, about the potential of a whole group of people going to experience this.
Oh, I love that. That is just so beautiful. Well, again, thank you everyone for being a part of this check-in. Paz, I'm happy to pass it back to you.
Amazing. Thanks for running the check-in, Leah. I love these answers here, which is, just the chance to revisit a beautiful plate meet with other CCians. Ashish, I love your one here. Never been done before, right? Done a retreat in India and just want to, have actually just look at that. And also Parky, or everyone coming over to India. You live in Delhi, which is just so beautiful. So thank you for running it that, Leah, because really, we always want to understand, what do you want to gain value from a retreat, right? That's who we're serving. That's who we're designing for. Everything that we do at the Community Collective is with our members in mind. So whether you are a CCN or you're new to the Community Collective, like this is for you, because really the first thing I want to ask all of you is like, is this your first gathering with the Community Collective? Like post a yes in the chat, or if you're just like returner, if you're like, I've been here around the block like so many times, because I know we've got a different kind of group here, but if this really is like the first gathering that you've had with the Community Collective, yes, and Dan, I love that. I want to just kind of paint that picture in the context, because whilst we're exploring running an India retreat, this is under the umbrella of everything that we believe and do at the Community Collective, because our vision is really to lead a global movement that establishes community building as the most impactful business strategy. And as people who are implementing that, we really want to make sure that we are serving community builders so that we can actually see that in the industry. Because the Community Collective started with Melia and Jala and I back in 2021. We were in Melbourne, we were building community. We found it really challenging, and we thought, does anyone else share these challenges? So we gathered 17 people at the Commons in Cremorne in June 2021, in the peak of COVID and the pandemic. And what we didn't realize is that it would go viral. We had hundreds of other people who were also building community, who had challenges, who wanted to gather and actually learn from each other. So what started as just a Melbourne meetup went viral and is now across over 18 countries. And today we have an audience of over 21,500 people, with 700 in our community, running over 8 cohort programs, 420 companies to date. And so back in 2022, I quit my job, registered the Community Collective as a company, and basically dedicated my life to helping people like yourself build communities. So wherever you are in the world, our members have gathered, and today we serve businesses to build impactful communities through our 8-week training program, which has just grown every year, which is, wow, I don't know, is it going to hit like 1,000 at some point? I mean, I don't think we could serve that many people, but it's been incredible gathering speakers from all over the world who are pioneering in community building, whether that be Seth Godin or, you know, the founder of Burning Man, when we spoke to him last year. And really, we've been training people from all different types of companies, whether that's Google, Notion, Canva, or from the TEDx group, or even a lot of female founder communities, not-for-profits, and co-working spaces. So really, we have just been taking pride in our members, understanding how to be pioneers of community building, and really redefining what this industry means in building a business in the 21st century. And so today, our community exists to serve people to actually understand how to build community, but also experience it themselves. We believe the best way to learn how to build a community is to actually experience what it's like to join a life-changing community. And so this is the invitation that you've been waiting for. And so really, we're just so excited to actually just share more about an India retreat, because really, I want to tell you just the answer to this question. Like, how did we get there? But also I want to know, have you been to India before? Just post a yes, a no in the chat, because some of you I know have been there, and some I know you've never been there. And I had never been to India, but it was always on my bucket list. You know, I wrote to Eat, Pray, Love, and, you know, it was always like the birthplace of yoga. So all my meditation teachers had been there and learned from people in India, and just always heard so many incredible, okay, yeah. Oh, wow, Ashish, you lived there for over 14 years. Now you're in Melbourne. That's amazing. Paki, you obviously were born in India. That's great. Leah, you've never been, not yet. I like that answer. And so, you know, I had never been to India before. And so why are we running an India retreat at the Community Collective, right? So I just want to paint the picture of, how did we get here? How did this happen? So let me tell you a story when Sasmini joined our cohort program, because we've been running online cohorts since the inception of the Community Collective. We started in the pandemic, so our community has predominantly been online. And when Sasmini joined cohort number 4, she joined the program, she came to the sessions, she connected online, she became an ambassador. She came back to the program 4 times actually, and she met so many different people, and she actually became best friends with Michelle, and they became such good friends that Sasmini got a visa to enter Australia, flew there to attend Michelle's wedding. This is them meeting in person for the first time ever, and they formed a friendship through this online program. But at the end of every single program for over 4 years, we get this question every single time from all of our members. What if we could all connect in person? What if we didn't feel FOMO of the Melbourne celebration or the San Francisco meetup or the London dinner that's happening, and we're kind of all disconnected and we don't have that central point? And so for years, our members have been giving us this feedback. Hey, what if the Community Collective gathered in person and we all had that same invitation? So I've been searching for years. I've always had this in the mind of a retreat. I looked at the Blue Mountains in Australia. I went and looked at different sites there, costed that out. I looked at the Surf Coast down where I live in Australia, but spoke to a lot of members, and coming to Australia for the rest of the world is quite inaccessible and feels like going to Mars. And so we landed on still just searching and searching for where could the central point be for our community to meet. Meanwhile, we kind of put the retreat idea to the side, and two of our very good friends, Dickie and Pooja, ended up getting married. And many of us have become friends through the Community Collective and through the startup space in Melbourne. And we got invited to their wedding in India earlier this year. These are all photos that Dickie and Pooja have shared publicly on social media about their incredible experience. Here's myself. Here's Jess, who used to work at the Community Collective. I think there's Fran in there. And we all flew over to India to attend their beautiful wedding. So we flew into Delhi, we went to Calcutta, and we experienced this incredible experience. And Paki, our team member who lives in Delhi, I got to meet her for the first time ever in India, and we were catching up with CCians at this experience. And I was just blown away. And it was one of the most incredible experiences we've ever been. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to India, I have to ask my teachers, where should I also go? We went to the wedding, but where should we also go? So I reached out to my two teachers, Dahlia Gencha and Dylan, who are from just this incredible body of work called Ayurveda. Does anyone know what Ayurveda is? You can post a yes in the chat or no if that's the first time you're hearing that term. But really, it's a body of work and really a science of how to live and how to live healthy, how to be happy in life. They're meditation teachers. Dylan is a naturopath and Ayurvedic practitioner, and they have studied under this body of work that is basically the birthplace of India. And so really, I went to them. I said, hey, you have learned in India, you've trained in India, they've lived in ashrams, ran retreats themselves there. I said, where should I go? And they and Dylan said, Paz, you've got to go to the foothill of the Himalayas. I was like, the Himalayas? Oh, I've never been there. I don't think I could do some hiking. And I said, well, where do we go in the Himalayas? There's a lot there to cover. And they say, you've got to go to this retreat center. It's at the foothill of the Himalayas, at the birthplace of yoga. And that's where we've studied and we've learned all of our yoga, all of our meditation, all of our practice at this retreat center. So I looked it up, and it's at the foothill of the Himalayas. I'd never heard of this retreat center. There wasn't much on their website. You can't book anything. I had to contact them and call them and email them. And over months of trying to get in contact, worked out the currency and how to book and the dates. We ended up booking this retreat center at the foothill of the Himalayas. So then, of course, I called Fran. I said, Fran, well, if we're going to this wedding, do you want to come with me? And we could go to this retreat center. We've got 4 days before we fly back to Melbourne together. How about we do that? She said, Paz, let's do it. So we went and we trekked from Delhi to Rishikesh, and then this retreat center is 30 minutes from there. And we just went there for 4 days. And then before we went, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I remember saying to Fran, I was like, Fran, oh my God, it hit me. We've got to bring community builders to Rishikesh, to the birthplace of yoga, to connect and experience the truest form of community that you could ever experience. So this is a photo I took the day we arrived at the retreat center. And I met the founder, Anand, who started this incredible retreat center over a decade ago when he was traveling through India. He is a renowned teacher of yoga and meditation and a prolific expert in Ayurveda. And so we spent just 4 days here. We did daily yoga with our incredible instructor. And we had this private instructor, just private classes, just Fran and I this whole time, every day. We did guided nature hikes down these beautiful rivers. And we visited these temples. And we had private local chefs cooking fresh vegetarian meals every day. And I was a bit scared to go to India. You know, you hear these stories. I had to get the visa. I didn't know the currency. I'd never been there before. I didn't know what food I could eat. You know, you can't drink the water. I don't eat chili or spicy food at all. And I was like, oh God, like India, like so spicy. And of course, the day I arrived in Delhi, I have really sensitive skin. And I had this like rash across my lips, and it was so painful, and I had an allergic reaction to this like lip balm. And then I went to the wedding, and of course, I accidentally ate an entire chili. It was like the spiciest capital I could ever visit in India. And I was like at this wedding and I like ate this chili and it got caught in my lips and I was like, ah, and it was burning. And I ran through this wedding ceremony into the kitchen. I turned the tap on. I go to drink the water and everyone's like, no, you cannot drink the water, Paz. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. They were like, you will get sick. And my friends come rushing down with like a bottle of lemonade and I'm sitting there and I was in agony for like half an hour and I was like, what have I done? I've like eaten this chili. And of course, it was so stressful, but eventually it calmed down. And so when Fran and I got to this retreat center, it was just like a breath of fresh air. The food was incredible. There was no spicy food. There was no hidden chilies. They had filtered water through their own system there, so you could just pour it into your drink bottle every day. They had masala chai every morning with fresh fruits. It was heaven. And what I realized is that life is for living. And this was the place to feel alive, to re-aliven what it means to be human and to live in not just a healthy lifestyle, but just in peace. 4 days at this retreat center honestly felt like 3 weeks offline. It was so rejuvenating, changed the trajectory of how I look after myself, how I think, and the relationship that I have with yoga and meditation, and brought back a practice that I keep every day. And so when we live in this life where we swing between worlds, we work full time, we're juggling family commitments, we've got friends and social, and we somehow have to work out when to meditate, and I've got to reply to these emails and all these things, and I feel overwhelmed, right? Like life is stressful and it can be tiring and anxiety driven. And in an online world, when we oversubscribe and we accidentally commit to too much and we feel overextended, where do we go to reset, right? Where do we go to reset? I caught up with this incredible founder of the Do Lectures. He's like this famous guy in London. He's created these incredible like non-conferences over the last decade. It's like the best 100-person gathering you could ever have. And we caught up with him and he said, Paz, the future of AI is here and it's coming fast. And when the pendulum swings to one extreme and we feel insanely overwhelmed by AI and mistrust, and I don't even know what's happening on LinkedIn. I can't trust Sally. She's writing with so many M-dashes now. And when the pendulum swings to everything being online and remote, it goes hardcore the other way. And so the future is these small in-person gatherings with people you trust, people that you can now rely on a lifetime. And so these are the friends and the professional contacts that you will meet. So we came back from India. Fran and I had this experience at this retreat center, which you'll hear about shortly. We've got Fran here to talk about it. And so I came back to Australia and I was just like, wow, that was incredible. And I straight away brought this idea to our ambassador program. We spent 12 weeks with our ambassadors. There's 18 of them. And I just said, wow, should we all gather at this retreat center and go visit? And they said, Paz, absolutely, let's do it. And I brought it to our team, caught up with Parky and Enos. We caught up with Sass Mini, who was a past ambassador who's traveled all over the world. And we said, what about this idea? Should we do this? Well, Parky, she's in New Delhi. She's a team member on the ground there, fluent in the language. And we saw, why not? Let's send out the invite, put it out to the world. Maybe you should join us for 10 days in India. So here we are at this info session. Never before have we done this. And our invitation is to join us. And if we get enough people, we'll run it. And if there's demand, beautiful, we'll gather. If there's not, no stress. I'll go alone. I actually can't fail here. I'll happily just go back. If no one comes with me, that's amazing. But if you want to join, it's 30 minutes from Rishikesh, which is the birthplace of yoga and meditation. Because whilst you can learn about content and community building and definitely, join the cohort, experience that training, but community is the answer. It's the future in an AI-driven world because connection is the medicine, where we actually learn to rely on each other as humans. We go back to not only village life, but building in-person, in-depth connections. 10 days, uninterrupted. And so through a lot of the conversations that we've been having, we've been speaking to a lot of you. We already have over 30 people who've expressed interest into the 10-day interview retreat. So I put the links in the chat if you haven't already, because what we're doing at the moment is we're co-creating this experience. And so it's not up to us to go, hey, this is what it is. This is it. We want to get your feedback. So what we've been doing over the last month is we've been co-creating the experience with our ambassadors, with our team, getting some ideas, curating that. And now we're putting it out to anyone saying, if you're interested, you can either pick a private room or a shared room. You know, you've got that option. These are all photos. The retreat center, they've sent it to me. They've given me permission. I've actually booked 25 rooms for October and January as a hold. And if we get enough, we can go. And so there are these beautiful, beautiful rooms that you can have at the retreat center. And really, there's the retreat center had this daily rhythm. And this is what Fran and I did. We woke up around 6 or 7. There was chai and fresh fruit. And then there was 8 a.m. yoga with our incredible teacher, Ravi. And we would do this incredible yoga practice. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be a yoga expert. It was beginner friendly. It's based on like Kriya, breath work, yoga. So you could join that if you want. There was breakfast every day at 10 a.m. Fresh breakfast, long tables by the pool. And then at 12 o'clock, we would either go, it was kind of build your own adventure. There's a guided hike, or if you wanted to stay and just journal by the river, you could do that. If you felt like you need some Wi-Fi, phone a friend back home, absolutely. Or we might run a community workshop at this retreat together. We'll co-create that. Then every day, 2 p.m., there's lunch, fresh vegetarian meals with the local private chef. And then at 4 p.m., we do our afternoon yoga to wind down. 5 p.m., free time. Wander, journal, nap, whatever you might need. And at 7:30, we gather for dinner. And there's other people at this retreat center. When we were there was a master yoga teacher training that was happening. And wow, did we meet some people. People fly all over the world to go to this retreat center to do their 400 yoga teacher training, or their kirtan, which is the singing of japa and practice and chanting. We're not signing up to those courses, so don't worry about that. And then at 8 o'clock, there was evening meditation and stillness. So the idea is that we are on this retreat together. There is this daily rhythm. You can join in as much as you want or build your own experience. But the idea is to have this deep reset. So this is the local cafe. There are these spaces to relax, read your book. I saw so many book recommendations on Arrive, but really it's just time to dream. Because when was the last time you carved out even 5 hours for yourself, right? And so really, we want to co-create and build out this experience. And the idea behind this retreat is to put out the invitation. You'll vote on the dates that work for you. If we get enough people, we'll go. We kind of need 10 minimum to make it that true experience. And we are curating this package where you really get everything included. So the Community Collective will book the retreat, sort out the accommodation. You'll get your twin. If you want to share a room with a friend, absolutely. Or if you have a private room with an ensuite, all the meals are included. So the chefs are all included, catered for dietaries. There's tea, chai, daily yoga, the private yoga teacher, all of that's included. We'll do these community workshops, and we'll do the guided nature hikes. We'll include all your airport transfers from Delhi. Parky and I speaking about welcome packs and what we can do on arrival. And we will also have full community connection leading up to the retreat and after the retreat. Welcome, Marina. So nice to have you here. And really we'll gather and have a connection point. So we'll do these monthly sessions. We'll get your visas sorted and have a private group chat to stay connected. The flights are not included because everyone will be coming from all over the world. And there are massages that you can get at the retreat that are add-ons, which I had like 2 of them. They were incredible. It was like this hour head massage. It was amazing. And during the expression of interest, there's also an option to opt in of whether we should go to the Taj Mahal. Has anyone been to the Taj Mahal before? Post a yes or not yet in the chat. I'd love to hear. I've never been to the Taj Mahal, one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is impeccable, but it sounds incredible. So we also want to know, as a community, would we like to go to the Taj Mahal? Because we can also include that maybe as an add-on. Anand, what was it like? Please, it looks incredible. And so really, this retreat center is based on this practice of Ayurvedic renewal, which is the literal science of life. And so if you've never heard of Ayurvedic, this is about a body of work that I've been practicing and living by for the 5 years of my life. And basically, Ayurvedic pertains to Ayurveda. So it's an ancient holistic healing system that's originated in India for over 3,000 years. And it's derived from the Sanskrit words of Aya, which means life, and Veda, which means knowledge. So it basically means the science of life. And so this approach of living is basically focused on aligning the mind, body, and spirit to promote wellness and prevent disease. And so Ayurvedic has been a way of life that I've been living over the last 5 years, similar to how people would have Western medicine, or you might have your naturopath, or you might have your Ayurvedic practitioner. Ayurvedic is the body of work that this retreat center is based on. So it's very natural. And we are working with on-the-ground operators. So who, the founder of this retreat center, they've allowed us to book the 25 rooms. They have all their local Indian guides and the yoga practitioners. So the Community Collective, we are not bringing in like yoga meditation teachers, but we work locally to support their community as well. So really, that is what it's all grounded in. And so before we dive into a conversation with Fran to ask her what her experience was like, what we're really building here is a different kind of reset. So this is not an 8-day crash course to learn how to launch and build a community and scale your AI operating system. This is not a conference where we go and we talk and we film content and we understand from different speakers. This is a permanent time out in your calendar in the year to have an experience for yourself, but also experience the deepest and truest form of community on country in connection with the Community Collective, because we will vet every single person. I'll have a personal call with every single person. We'll curate the group. We'll make sure that everyone is aligned, and priority is given to CCians and our cohort alumni on a first serve first basis as well, because really they're the ones who've given the feedback, and we want to honor that, especially with our ambassadors. And we're also inviting all our past speakers and coaches and mentors, and some of the past speakers who've actually expressed interest, I was blown away by. I'm not going to say who they are, but this is the network that you want to be a part of. And so really a successful retreat is you leaving with a new way of life, a meditation practice that you can actually commit to, because it really is just something else. Time feels like a whole nother construct. And this land at this retreat center is like nothing else. So I'd love to take you there. And our team is working on this together. Enos, if you've never met her, she is our community lead, and Parky, of course, who is our local on-the-ground operator who's in Delhi helping us curate everything as well. And so now I would like to pause to see if anyone has any questions for me about like the process or the co-creation or the retreat itself. We currently are basically, in terms of, a lot of questions have come through around like pricing, how much does it cost? And so what we're doing at the moment is we're going through our discovery phase where we go, cool, who's interested? Do we want to go to the Taj Mahal? Do you want a private room? What's the group size? And then I am taking this information, working with our team on the ground and the retreat center. And then we're going to price up the packages. And then I'll report back to everyone who's expressed interest saying, hey, this is the rough cost for option 1, option 2. This is the cost for if we want to do the retreat, if we want to do the Taj Mahal. And then it's up to you to go, I'm in. I want to do October on this package. And then we'll co-create it from there. So the pricing is coming, and we're gathering that based on if people want to do Taj or not, basically is what that looks like. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand in Gather Round and we can go through any of those. And if not, just post and all good. Just give me like a thumbs up. Just click the thumbs up emoji in Gather Round and I'll roll on. It's so nice to see Marina here, one of our OG ambassadors. Like, you totally have to come to India with us, Marina. I would just feel like the biggest reunion. So before we throw it over to Fran and we get to have a frank conversation with her, I would just love to ask all of you, please just post in the chat, like, what is drawing you to the Himalayas right now? I don't know if you've been there, but the energy, it's just been like a bucket list item. I was also really scared to go to India. I was always like, I don't want to go there on my own. Like it just felt different. You know, I've traveled to Spain on my own and America on my own. I feel quite equipped in those spaces, but I don't know. I just felt like a little bit on edge. And so when we got the invite from our friend for the wedding, and you know, her whole family is from there, and then Parky, our team member, like met me at the airport in Delhi. Like it was so beautiful to go with locals who've lived there, who speak the language. And so that's really also the experience that we want to curate. So I'm just so curious, like what draws you to the Himalayas? Okay, Leah, we've got the birthplace of yoga is pretty special. Yeah, I'm amazing, different, want to be a part of this, incredible. I love that. You know, it kind of just feels like a bit of a calling. So speaking of a calling, we've got to call up here Francis Go, who was literally the person who said yes to joining me with no context or backstory in the past. So, Fran, I'm just so grateful to have you here to kind of just give us some time to really just go through and understand what your experience was like, and really just to also see, you know, just from your lens, because I'm just so curious, like what made you say yes? I remember just messaging you. I was like, do you want to just go to this retreat together? I've never been there. I have no idea what it is. Like, but my meditation teacher says, and I trust them. So you want to do it? Like, why did you say yes?
A couple of things. Obviously, first it's you, Paz. So I pretty much say yes to everything you've ever invited me to. So
Love that.
I will say, yeah, always a yes, big yes. In terms of the retreat, honestly, it was the perfect timing for me because at the end of last year, I was running on empty. 2025 was such a huge year for so many people, myself included. I had been through a lot of big activity and transition. At One Roof, we had just run a national conference across 4 cities. I just bought the business. There was a lot of change in my world. I had played hard, which is great, but I got to close to the end of the year and realized that my cup was just about empty and I needed to refill it. And so your invite came at the right time. And something in me just said yes before my brain could talk me out of it. I just knew instinctively my gut was saying, I need this. And I would absolutely regret not going. And that's one of the ways that I live. I kind of think, well, I regret not doing it. So I'm so thrilled that I did. And I was just at a point in my life where things had been super busy as well. And I think when you're giving that much energy to what you do, and I'm so lucky that I love what I do, but you know, in all things, sometimes we just get depleted. And I just recognized that this is one of the things that was actually going to actively refill me and ground me. I just had to say yes.
I'm so glad you did. I remember when we were driving there, like to the retreat center, and I was like, I actually just have no idea what this experience is going to be like. But I also trusted my meditation teacher. So I've been training with them for 4 years. And this is where her teacher is based. And I was just like, anything that they do, I trust. And so it just has this like circle, right? And so, yeah, like how did you feel kind of before you went on the retreat compared to like how you felt afterwards? Because we were only there for 4 days.
So many feelings. How I was feeling before the retreat was exhausted, deeply tired, probably not just from that 1 year, from multiple years of just being on the go. We're so good at being busy. So I was tired, but at the same time overstimulated and needed space. And after the retreat, I think a lot of people will say, oh, I felt like myself again. I didn't just feel like myself again. I felt like more than myself, if that's possible. What that retreat gave me was not just more space, but more capacity as well. It felt like a version of myself that I was getting to know again, a version of myself that I hadn't met in a while, a more grounded version of myself. So after the retreat, I felt more present, more peaceful, definitely more refilled, and definitely came home rejuvenated and with my cup refilled. Like I was ready for this year.
Yeah, I like, for me, I definitely felt like my nervous system was just like so overstimulated, especially with like running community. like it's just like always like so many different points of contact, right? And then like running your own business is just like all the accounting and everything, the strategy like that comes with that as well. And I loved, like, for me, in my experience, I loved the forcing function of like, hey, I'm offline, I'm in India. Like there is Wi-Fi there, but you know, you don't go to a retreat center to like work remote, right? So it was like, I loved the forcing function that it did of just like, it blocked out the time. And then it was so easy to just like do the yoga and do the meditation. And when I got home, I was just like, I honestly, before I went, I felt really clouded in like where I wanted to honestly kind of just like go in my life. I was like, I felt like I've like fallen a bit off the road. I was just like, I don't even know like where I'm going anymore. Like I'm doing a lot of things and that's like really great and I love it. But like I felt like I lost my vision for what really lit me up. And I remember like leaving and I was just like, I feel like I know my life's purpose again, and just how transformative like that kind of practice can be. But you know, what shifted in you, Fran?
Again, multiple things. I just want to go back to what you said about the forcing, because what shifted in me is linked to that, which is the pace. I've been going so hard and so fast for so long that the forced change of pace was really important. There's that quote I love, which is sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And that was that purposeful slowing down in order to gear up again. But at the same time, going back to what you were talking about earlier around the flexibility of having a structure in which to do that. I think sometimes when we try and create space for ourselves, there isn't a structure through which to travel to get to a point where we can feel peaceful. And even now in this year, when there have been moments of flux or stress, much like probably you, I also think back to that time in India at the retreat, and there are multiple moments where I look back on, and even while I was in India, I knew when I was having those beautiful moments of peace and calm, I was like, this isn't just good for me now, it's going to be good for me in 6 months when I'm stressed. And I think back to this moment and anchor back to that point in time where I had the capacity and time and pace for reflection or clear decision making and clarity. And so it's a beautiful thing that I feel like I'm constantly returning to, that does refuel me as well. So what shifted in me, the pace, having a new perspective. There was something about being in that environment that was, you know, there was no rushing, there was no really fixed schedule, but the movement of the structure. So yes, you shared that really beautiful schedule, which was awesome. And then the things within that, like having yoga twice a day, like private sessions, that was so cool with Ravi. You know, the meals were delicious. I cannot get over how nourishing the food was. There were beautiful walks that we did to, you know, local temples or to see nature. And it was just really stripping away the noise. So what I found underneath all of that was stillness as well, which I hadn't found in a long time. I think that's actually the thing that I revisit, those moments of stillness. And also moments of serendipity, right? I didn't realize, and I probably should have, but all the times that I wanted to speed up, the beauty of the place and maybe like the sacredness of the place just really forced me to slow down again. So you'll remember this, Paz. We went for a beautiful nature walk and we had to cross a river.
Yeah.
And Ganges River that flows through. It's probably the Ganga, right? Like the most sacred body of water in the world. And you had to like really slow down to navigate where you were going next. And I'm just still in this, you know, mindset sometimes where even when I'm forcing myself to slow down, I still want to speed up, you know, and I could not have crossed that river any slower than I needed to. And the second I was like, oh, I reckon I could, because I was planning ahead. I was looking at the stones underneath the water. Of course, they were slippery. I was like, I reckon I can hop to those steps, like 1, 2, 3. And the second I tried to do that, I like slipped into the water.
Phone. I was like, give me the bag.
I was holding a phone and a water bottle, holding my shoes. And the second I was like, oh, I reckon I could go faster. Nah. You know, and it was just that beautiful moment again as a reminder of, you know, the river will only flow at a certain pace, and sometimes we can only go as fast as that river wants us to, and we can't force it. And so just these like beautiful moments that could only happen in a place like this when you're being so present, that are just so magical. So yeah, so many great memories, so many beautiful shifts happened.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I can relate. And I feel like, you know, I was in Delhi, and you know, Delhi, massive city. And I remember meeting a couple of people like in the startup space and things like that. And I was like, oh, and I've just been asking this question to every single person I meet for like a decade. And I love hearing people's definition. And it's what is the definition of wealth? You know, I was chatting to people in startup space, and we were like, okay, well, you know, you can generate wealth, like have like financial investments, but also, you know, like have a wealthy life, like you're rich in time and freedom. And I remember getting to this retreat and just speaking to some of the people that live there, like they literally live there. And I was like, what is your definition of wealth? And they were just some of the most profound answers I've ever heard. And I remember this one woman, we were like sitting there eating the rice and the dal and the garlic naan bread is like to die for. And I was like, what is your definition of wealth? And she was like, health. You know, when you don't have good health, you just have one goal. And when you do have good health, you have 1,000. But as soon as you lose that element, like that's all that's important. And health is wealth. And she was just like the epitome of that. And so, you know, do you have any other like favorite moments, Fran, or experiences or memories that really kind of stand out for you?
Yes, so many to pick from. One was also the people, and the conversations. And I think the last night, just before we left, we were having dinner, and I was like, you know what? This has been an amazing experience. It's given me so much. My cup is filled. It could not possibly give me anything more. And then we ended up sitting down next to the most incredible woman, Regina, and she just like was so wise and so experienced and so authentic and genuine and grounded in who she was. Our conversation just broke me apart and open in terms of my mind being blown around, yeah, some of the conversations we were having around life and her life experience. And just, I almost cannot describe it, but it's clearly stayed with me in being so special. And definitely everyone we met there had an incredible story, had been transformed, was doing their life's work. And I think it's one thing to go on a retreat that is perhaps like a holiday retreat, but this one has so many layers of consideration and intention and thoughtfulness. So I found that the people that we were surrounded by and accompanied with, who happened to be there, were also all doing the deep work, right? That is so easily avoidable on the day to day. But for many of us who are founders or business owners, oftentimes our business and our work and our career expands in proportion to our ability to grow and expand. So I think it's really important to have these carved out times that we protect in order to grow, so that we're constantly expanding and thereby expanding our impact on the world as well.
Right. It's like athletes don't surround themselves with primary school sport teachers to go to the Olympics. They surround themselves with Olympians who are gold medalists. It's like, if you want to be happy and healthy and live a peaceful life, go to the ancient technology of India, to the birthplace, to understand like how to be human. You know, it's like, it's, if you're looking for like a holiday with like cocktails by the pool and like really like fun events and like loud music and dance, like this is just not this. Like this retreat is just like not for you. And if you're willing to kind of have that inquiry, and I was nervous, right? Like, were you on the fence about anything, Fran? Or like, did you have nerves? And I guess like, what would you say to someone who might be listening to this just being like, like all well and good, but like India, like 10 days, like, oh, you know, like what would you kind of say and speak into that?
I think two things. Firstly, off the back of what we just said, I want to reiterate that for me, at least at that point in time, I was really looking for rest and rejuvenation. And when we were there, we happened to be there when there was a master yoga course on. Like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the highest level of teacher training. And so I love learning. So it's almost like while I was there to rejuvenate, I was learning how to do it by being surrounded by the people who teach others how to be grounded, how to be at peace with yourself, how to be in tune with your body. And so it was that multifaceted experience that every touch point was regrounding me, which is what I needed at the time. For someone who's sitting on the fence, I think anyone who's feeling a slight hesitation or uncertainty, that point of tension is probably a reason to go, because that is like a resistance usually for something that we're avoiding. I think one of the things that the retreat in India taught me is that avoidance is the entry point. Like day to day, if I'm avoiding doing something, it's probably the thing I most need to be doing. And that transformation is on the other side of that curiosity. And so I would just say you won't regret it. It was life-changing.
Yeah. Oh, Fran, I'm so excited. Before we open up to Q&A and see if anyone else has any questions, anyone here, if you've got some questions, feel free to just click raise hand now, and we'll come to you. I'd love to hear a question from each person and we can dive into that together. But Fran, obviously, you kind of then came back. You were running One Roof. You've taken over as CEO. You're like back running your community. Obviously you've kind of filled up your own cup so that you can then go serve the over thousands of members in One Roof. What did that experience at the India retreat then give you going back and serving One Roof and serving your community like as a professional?
I think if I could pinpoint it, what it gave me was the ability to be the best version of myself for everyone. And when I returned, I was sitting in a very different seat. So, before buying the business, I was fully in ops and execution and, still applying strategy. But now I had a real opportunity to write the roadmap and vision what was going to be the next evolution of One Roof. And I definitely could not have done it if I didn't have the clarity, the mindset, the energy for it, which is what the retreat gave me.
I know, I remember sitting there by the pool together. Actually, we just had this journal. I think we just like drew out the whole One Roof like community strategy and did that whole strategy workshop. I feel like I drew out the entire like 5 years of the community collective and the expression, and came back with just so much like passion for life to then give back into CC. And so, Fran, thank you so much. Would you go again?
Yes, in a heartbeat, of course.
I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful to have you here, Fran. Thank you so much. Please, everyone, like go connect with Fran. She's amazing. We do have a couple minutes left before we wrap up. I know, Leah, you've got a question here, so we will come to you. And if anyone else has a question, feel free to post in the chat because I would love to hear about it. But Leah, what is your question? And then Leah, please say if you would like either myself or Fran to answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. This question is for both of you. You mentioned sitting by the pool. You mentioned that it's a beautiful space. You mentioned that wonderful adventure, going on a nature walk and accidentally dropping your phone in a sacred river, being by the foothills of the Himalayas. It's such a beautiful and feels like a very serene picture. I'm curious, was there a particular space or kind of area of the actual retreat center or the grounds that you found was your favorite space? Or I'd like to just kind of understand that picture a little bit more, what you really loved about being at that specific place.
Yeah, Fran, go for it.
The first place that comes to mind is this garden space. There were a few beautiful gardens, and I had one that I would go to at least once a day, if not more than once. And it had some beautiful statues, there, just right next to the river. I would just sit there, meditate, reflect, do some writing or reading, and it was just super peaceful. It's actually the screen on my phone at the moment. So yeah.
Oh my God. Is that the Buddha Garden?
Yeah.
Are you
the
with
Buddha-
it? Yes, I
yeah,
know.
like
I knew you were going to say that before.
yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. Yeah, the spot that comes up for me like every morning. So we went in January, which is a beautiful time of year. It's like it's the dry season of India. And basically, so you're at the foothill of the Himalayas, so it's like quiet, you're like in the mountains, so it was like 18 degrees and sunny every day, like just clear skies, like no wind. But it would be like a little bit chilly at night. So you'd like rug up and have your chai. And so it was very cozy. But every morning when the sun came out, I would like go sit by the river at the garden and just look out at Ganga. It literally is the most sacred river of India. That is a goddess. It's a god like in their culture. And basically I would just sit there and listen to the birds and the just the sounds of nature. Because I'm also a musician, I would just like I wrote like a whole album of music when I came home after that trip, and I recorded the bird sounds and the river like on the audio field recordings, then put in all my music and wrote an album of India like with the sounds. And so I would just sit there and just have a journal and read my book, and just it was like so peaceful. Oh, does that help, Leah?
That's incredible. Thank you. I need to know about this Buddha garden.
Yeah, the Buddha Garden. It's amazing. I love that. So beautiful. Well, gang, that is all the time we have. Fran, thank you so much again. And thank you for all the questions. We've got a comment in here from someone, which is, my reason for going to this retreat would be to relax along with the people I used to work with and reconnect on a different level. Marina, you are so invited. Absolutely. I'll save that. And Parky, oh, I'm so excited to catch up with you again in India. It really will, it feels like a reunion, right? And some of the people that have expressed interest on this retreat, and we're really going to curate the group. Every single person, like I will have a conversation with them. We'll make sure that everyone's like in alignment with values, because we really want to make sure it's a great group. And it has like really awesome dynamics. So definitely, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can reach out to myself and our team. And what basically is happening for next steps is, if you have any questions, basically there is the form in the chat where you can express interest, and there's a spot where you can ask questions as well. If any of the dates don't work for you, there's even an opt-in as well to say, these dates don't work for me, and you'll be notified if there's new ones. So Fran, definitely fill out the expression of interest, say if their dates don't work. But really, I would just encourage you to just go away and have a think if there's like a big takeaway for you from today, even if you come on the retreat or not. Like, it's just so joyful to be spending time with you, or in your ears if you're listening to the recording. Hey. And of course, we want to share a gift for all of you. And so really the next steps from here is, if you have expressed interest before the 12th of June, it's just 48 hours away. I will then personally reach out to every single person. I'll let you know of the curation and the alignment and the dates that are going ahead. And if we get at least 10 people, then we will run ahead. If we don't, we'll go through to the January 2027 dates and go back to the calendar and see what would work. But when Fran and I kicked off the year of 2026, the fire horse, and it was at the retreat, that time of year where it's like new year, new me, like it was just so conducive for that. And I also felt like the rest of the world was still kind of off with like New Year's and Christmas celebrations. So it was quite lovely. But of course, if you have feedback on today, we're giving everyone free access to our resource library just to learn about community building in general. And our next cohort will also kick off on the 1st of September. And this retreat is literally directly after that experience. So thank you all again for being here. It's so divine. I can't wait to see you in India. I'm definitely going back, and I'd love to bring you with us. So bye, everyone. Feel free to unmute and say goodbye. Please unmute and say goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Bye. See you in India.
Sound great.
Oh, the river runs, oh, the river runs through the many into one. I belong, I belong. Oh, the river runs, so the river runs through the many into one. I belong, I belong. Lay me down by the banyan tree, where my roots run deep into that soul of me. Lay me down into her open palm. Listen deeply as she sings Chesitara. Eternal truth, I'm in the rain and the sand. My heart is beating as the sky and the land. My walk is fire, but my touch is calm. Listen deeply as I flow through the many into one. The river runs, so the river runs through the many into one. I belong, I belong. Oh, the river runs, so the river runs through the many into one. I belong, I belong, I belong. I belong, 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 I belong. I belong, I belong, I belong, I belong, I belong.